Amidst the rain that lashes Wall Street, a man loses everything he has built. No explanations, no answers, just emptiness. What happens when integrity collides with power, when the fall becomes the path to redemption? Sometimes the darkest moment is just the beginning of a greater story. The rain pelted the windows of Sterling and Wolf Investment that March Tuesday. Asher Feldstein adjusted his navy blue tie, an automatic gesture that reflected his methodical personality. At 34, he was known as the man who never made mistakes, a nickname he carried with the same discomfort he felt when colleagues mentioned his Manhattan apartment or his Audi A7. The mirrored corridors of the 20th floor reflected his impeccable image: well-trimmed dark hair, an Italian suit perfectly tailored to his athletic body, Italian shoes that shone even on that gray day. But the reflection didn't show the boy from Newark who had grown up in a two-room apartment, the son of Esther Feldstein, a cleaner who tidied offices in the big city. Asher discreetly touched the inner pocket of his jacket where he kept a faded photo of his mother. She had died of cancer when he was 17, but the promise he made beside the hospital bed remained alive. "I will succeed, Mom." For both of us, and he had succeeded. He graduated with a full scholarship in finance, worked 3 jobs to pay for graduate school, and in the last 5 years he had become the most productive trader at Sterling and Wolf. Each bonus, each promotion, each closed deal was a silent conversation with Esther. "I made it, Mom." "Mr. Feldstein, Mr. Brenner is waiting for you in the meeting room on the 23rd floor," said the assistant, interrupting his thoughts. Asher nodded, intrigued. Mordechai Brenner, the CEO, rarely called meetings without prior scheduling, especially in the middle of the quarterly reporting season. The elevator ascended silently. When the doors opened, Asher felt a slight pressure in his chest. 5 senior executives awaited in the meeting room, their faces serious, their gazes averted when he entered. "Please have a seat," said Brenner without lifting his eyes from the papers in front of him. The room had glass walls fogged by the heavy rain outside. The gleaming mahogany table reflected the ceiling lights. The silence was heavy. "Mr. Feldstein, your services are no longer required at Sterling and Wolf," Brenner finally spoke, the words falling like stones in the silent room. The world of Asher stopped. For a moment, he thought he had heard wrong. "Pardon me, sir, is there any issue with my results?" His voice came out calmer than he expected. "The decision is final." Brenner finally raised his eyes, as cold as the rain outside. "Security will accompany you to collect your belongings." "But I have the right to an explanation," Asher insisted, feeling his heart race. "My productivity exceeded targets by 32% in the last quarter. My record is impeccable." One of the executives, Richards, glanced at his watch ostentatiously. Another coughed, uncomfortable. "Your belongings will be in a box. Clear your computer in 30 minutes. Brenner was already standing. The meeting concluded before it had even properly begun. 2 security guards waited outside. Asher knew them by name. He had talked to both about basketball the previous week. Now they avoided his gaze. The journey back to the 20th floor was the longest of his life. Dozens of colleagues discreetly watched as he was escorted to his desk. Some looked away, embarrassed. Others whispered to each other. The space that was once his sanctuary now felt like a stage for his public humiliation. A cardboard box was already on his desk. Inside it, his picture frames, pens, books, and the small worn wooden crucifix that his mother held during chemotherapy sessions. While he emptied the drawers, Asher noticed a young analyst, Shayna Abrams, discreetly pointing her phone in his direction. Filming, her eyes, unlike the others, conveyed not morbid curiosity but indignation. 27 minutes later, Asher Feldstein left the building that had been his second home for 5 years. On the wet sidewalk, the rain quickly drenched his $3,000 suit. Holding the box against his chest, he felt something he hadn't experienced since his mother's funeral: absolute loneliness. 2 months later, Asher was driving a used Honda Civic through the city streets, the ride-sharing app open on the phone mounted on the dashboard. The luxurious Manhattan apartment had been replaced by a rented room in Queens, with a view of a brick wall and the constant noise of an industrial ventilation system. "We have arrived, sir," he announced to his 4th passenger of the night, an executive who worked late in the financial district. The man left a minimal tip and exited without saying thank you. Asher watched him enter one of the buildings where, in another life, he might have worked. 200 resumes sent. 0 responses. Wall Street was a closed club, and those who left through the back door rarely managed to return through the front. On cold early mornings, driving drunks home, Asher spoke with God in the silence of the car. "Why, Lord, I did everything right. I worked honestly. Why have you abandoned me?" The silence of the car was his only response. Savings were dwindling, bills were piling up. What hurt the most wasn't the loss of material comfort, but the absence of purpose. For the first time since he'd promised his mother, Asher had no plan. On an especially difficult night, after 12 hours of driving, he stopped at a red light in Hell's Kitchen. It was raining again, a fine and persistent drizzle. Hanging from the rearview mirror was his mother's crucifix. Asher held it with a trembling hand. "If you're still there, I need a sign. Anything. I just need to know that I'm not alone," he whispered with a broken voice. The light turned green. He drove on, unaware that at that very moment, 800 kilometers away, his life was about to change. Shayna Abrams would never forget the day she filmed Asher being escorted. That scene haunted her for weeks. A man respected for his competence and ethics, treated like a criminal without any explanation. Outraged, she posted the video that same afternoon. "Wall Street fired the most honest trader I knew, for no reason, just cruelty." For 2 weeks, the video accumulated a few thousand views, nothing extraordinary. Until a financial influencer reposted it. "This is what's rotten on Wall Street. Ethical men and women are punished while cheaters thrive." In 48 hours, 3 million views. In 2 weeks, 31 million. Journalists began to investigate. Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal published articles questioning the ethics of Sterling and Wolf. The company issued a standard statement about internal restructuring and strategic decisions, but the damage to its image was already done. Then came the turning point. A former employee from the compliance department, inspired by the viral video, leaked documents to the SEC, falsified reports, inflated assessments, operations in restricted markets. And most importantly, a list of traders who refused to participate in these practices, with Asher Feldstein's name marked in red. Compliance risk eliminated. The SEC opened a formal investigation. Sterling and Wolf lost 18% of its market value in a single day. And Asher Feldstein's name was everywhere, not as a symbol of failure, but of integrity. Asher discovered everything on a regular Thursday at a gas station on the outskirts of the city. While refueling the Honda, his phone began vibrating incessantly. Notifications cascading, emails, messages, missed calls, LinkedIn. 847 messages. Executives, headhunters, journalists. Confused, he opened the browser and typed his own name. Thousands of recent results, articles, videos, the video. His face at the moment of the dismissal, watched by millions of people. Sitting in the car, hands trembling, he read the articles that explained everything. The SEC investigation, the leaked documents, the proof that his dismissal was retaliation for refusing to participate in fraudulent practices. Among so many messages, one stood out. "Mr. Feldstein, my name is Raphael Weissman, CEO of Weissman Financial Group. I just saw your story. I need to speak with you urgently. It's about an opportunity that will change your life if you still believe that integrity has value on Wall Street." Weissman, the name sounded familiar, but Asher couldn't remember from where. With his hands still trembling, he dialed the number. "Asher Feldstein?" A deep voice answered immediately. "Yes, it's me, Raphael Weissman." The voice conveyed a calm authority. "I need to tell you something. 6 years ago, you found my wallet at Grand Central Station, $12,000 in cash. You ran after me and returned it. Do you remember?" The world stopped. Asher remembered, a middle-aged man looking distressed, dropping his wallet while talking on the phone. Asher running after him, returning the wallet intact. "You refused the $2,000 reward I offered," Weissman continued. "You said your mother raised you to do the right thing, that God sees when no one else does." Tears blurred Asher's vision. That episode, so insignificant in his mind, had deeply impacted someone. "That day changed my life, Asher." Raphael's voice broke slightly. "I had lost my daughter in an accident 3 months earlier. I was questioning whether there was still goodness in the world. Your attitude, your character, saved me. I rebuilt my company on principles of integrity since then." Raphael paused, his breathing audible. "When I saw your video go viral, when I read about the SEC investigation confirming that you were fired for refusing to falsify documents, I cried again. You are exactly what Wall Street needs right now." "What do you mean?" Asher asked, feeling a strange mix of emotions. "I am launching an ethical trading division within Weissman Financial. I need someone to lead it." Not just someone competent, but someone who chooses what is right even when it costs everything. Monday, 9 o'clock, Park Avenue, 350,000 starting plus bonuses based on ethical results. But more than that, I need men like you not to give up on Wall Street. Why me? Why now? Asher questioned, part of him still fearing that this was some kind of elaborate cruelty. Because God has perfect timing, Raphael replied with conviction. 6 years ago you planted a seed. 2 months ago you were pruned. This week the world saw your root and it was solid. Now it's time to bloom. Sitting in that ordinary Honda at an anonymous gas station, Asher held the crucifix with both hands. Thank you for not abandoning me. Forgive my lack of faith. And there, in that ordinary moment, he understood. The desperate prayer at the traffic light had not been ignored. It was being answered in an unimaginable way. The viral video, the investigation, Raphael seeing everything. They weren't accidents or coincidences. It was providence. Mr. Weissman, Asher finally spoke, his voice firm again. I will be there. On Monday, exactly at 9 o'clock, Asher entered the sleek building of Weissman Financial Group. He wore a simple suit, the best he could retrieve after selling almost his entire wardrobe to pay the rent. Raphael Weissman, a 60-year-old man with gray hair and kind eyes, personally welcomed him in the lobby. Welcome home, Asher, he said, shaking his hand firmly before surprising him with a heartfelt hug. In the following months, the ethical trading division of Weissman Financial attracted record investors. Clients tired of Wall Street scandals found a new paradigm in transparency and integrity. Asher rebuilt his life. He rented a comfortable apartment, although modest compared to the previous one. He bought a simple car. But most importantly, he regained his purpose. With every ethical deal closed, with every transparent report sent to clients, the silent conversation with his mother continued. I did it, Mom. The right way. The deepest impact, however, was on the 47 million people who watched the video, generating a wave of comments showcasing how his story had touched lives. I returned a wallet found on the subway today. This video inspired me. I was fired last month for refusing to lie in a report. This gives me hope. I showed it to my teenage children. I want them to know that doing the right thing is worthwhile, even when it seems like it isn't. A year after his dismissal, Asher received a letter. The sender, Shayna Abrams. Dear Mr. Feldstein, you probably don't remember me. I was the person who filmed your departure from Sterling and Wolf. I wanted you to know that I was fired a week later for posting that video. I don't regret it. Thanks to that moment, dozens of companies contacted me recognizing my moral courage. Today, I work in the compliance department of one of the largest fund managers in the country, preventing exactly the type of fraud that S&W practiced. Thank you for showing by your example that doing what is right is always worth it, even when the cost seems too high. Respectfully, Shayna Abrams. Asher placed the letter carefully next to his mother's crucifix, which now occupied a place of honor on his desk. That journey had taught him a profound truth. Goodness is never wasted. It germinates silently, often invisibly, until the day of harvest. And sometimes it produces not just a single fruit, but an entire forest of unexpected consequences. A video that exposed corporate corruption, a CEO who recalled a forgotten kindness, a federal investigation that brought justice, millions of people inspired to choose integrity in their own lives, all connected. All orchestrated by an invisible hand that turns trials into purpose. That night, alone in his new office, Asher looked out the window at the city lights and understood, God does not take us out of the wilderness immediately. He leads us through it to show who we really are when everything is taken away, to teach that our identity is not in what we do or have, but in who we choose to be when no one is watching, except that someone is always watching. And he never ever forgets.